Welcome to My Moon Time. In this recording, we do have some adult language. You may choose to want to listen with your headphones on. If so, now's the time. Hello, welcome. I'm Dana Michelle Gillespie of My Moon Time, and I have Lada here with us today. We're going to have a nice little conversation about Lada and her meditation practices that she has. So welcome, Lada.
Hi, Dana. My name is Lada Ballowe. Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me.
Yay, so happy to have you here. I've known Lada for a long time. We do like meditation and energy work together. And so she's going to tell us more about her practice and the tools that she offers and teaches to women to help you have like a more grounded experience. I mean, it's limitless of what experience you can have through this awareness practice and tools and how it can help your life and your menstrual cycle and your overall everything, whatever. It's very wonderful and amazing and magical. So Lada, I'll let you have the floor and kind of speak a little bit more about your practice. And yeah.
Yeah. Um, just want to start with a fun fact, which is I've known Dana for many years, but we actually never met in person. Yeah. And yeah, we know each other so well. And that's to start off with that so far I've always taught online, and you can really do so much very deep work even when you are not in a room with other people, right? And a lot of businesses were forced to do it because of COVID. I've built my business online before COVID. And I took my whole training, 6 years of very intense work online. And there are many advantages to that too, right? You can be wherever. I work with women all around the world. We have women in our classes from all around the world, different time zones, and yet recreating these beautiful sanctuaries together. Well, what I really want to introduce today is classes that were my dream for many years, and I started teaching them lately, a few months ago, maybe 6 months ago, and they're called Radiant Yin, and they're classes for women. And they help women to thrive, to be free, to become really themselves and be fulfilled in who they are. So my big dream always was I'm seeing all these amazing, beautiful women who are insecure and unhappy and unhealthy. And it just always used to break my heart. And I was one of them, right? And I just remember at some point I realized it doesn't matter how much money you have, how you look, how many friends you have, or career you have. If you don't feel good with yourself, it just doesn't really matter, right? Because we're the ones to spend time with all the time. And that really started this whole, I want to find freedom. I just want to be happy, and that started becoming on top of my list. Suddenly it wasn't the career or, even having a significant other, which we're told we're better people if we have one. But suddenly I was just like, what about relationship to myself? And I am a woman in this world. And I'm a unique woman, as you, Dana, are, and every woman is, right? And so my passion is to help women find their uniqueness and live it. Yeah. So that's just kind of to start off with. And if you have any more specific question, I would love to answer them.
That's so beautiful how you shared and said all that. I love that. I'm just kind of like letting it land in. Even though you and I've been doing this for so long together and working in these spaces, it's kind of like every time you hear something, it kind of still lands in a refresh and you're like, oh yeah, I feel so good.
I'm so happy. I'm so happy to hear that. Because one thing, I really noticed there's just so much information about who you should be as a woman. I'm like, hold on, I already am a woman. Like, don't tell me how to be a woman. If I want to play with makeup, I'm going to play with it. If I'm going to play with short hair, long hair, colors, if I want to play with what I say or how I act, I am a woman doing it. So please don't tell me that, right? So there's just so much oppression. And one thing that mostly really used to break my heart was how much competition is between women. So instead of supporting each other and helping each other to thrive, it's just competing, you know. And so that's kind of the motto of the classes. I always tell women, let's move from competition to cooperation so we can feel safe with each other, you know. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Thank you. Will you talk and share a little bit about this style of meditation? I know I kind of dropped the energy work, the word energy work in there with that you and I do. But like meditation, what this practice kind of looks like if you're brand new to this and they come and take a class with you, what's it like?
Totally. So it's open to all. So if you were born a woman, you have a certain energy within yourself, right? So as men and women, we all have female and male energy, which I think is a known fact at this point. But as born women, we have this incredible energy that can create a baby, right? And we don't own it as women. And you can either use it to create a baby, or you can as well use it and work with it to help you create your life. So the way it looks like, there is a bunch of guided meditation. Everything is very light. So even if it's your first time, you just jumped right in. You don't have to know anything. So it's really about connecting with yourself from a neutral space where you start watching, you can start seeing certain things, right? So you can look at your question, you can look at your answer, and then we share. So, you know, there's some sharing in the groups with other women, writing exercises, or sometimes even art, little art, you know, to really start embodying it. So it's not only meditation and then you get out of the class and you forget all about it and you just go along with your old patterns. I really do focus on integrating everything, because I've been doing meditation since I was 14 years old, and seriously really since like beginning of my 20s. And what I always missed was, well, but okay, but how it stops being this idea and really change my life so I can live it. So my big focus is on, it's great to have awareness, but how are you going to apply it? So these little techniques that already help in the workshop, and then, you know, use it. Everything you learn in this workshop, go and use it every day. And then I as well have an amazing assistant that has a lot of experiences. Her name is Jade Blackadar, and she has a lot of experiences with body work and movement. So I'm giving her bigger and bigger chunk of space to do some movement and embodying work within the workshops. So that's all you do. It's a bunch of stuff, and you learn about yourself. So the idea is more about find your own answer. And I share the information I know. And there are many amazing women, and each of us have learned something. So there's as well that level of sharing, right? So yeah, that's kind of in a gist. And then you have to come and experience it, because that's where the magic is.
Yes, yes. Not thinking about it, but experiencing it. That's so well said.
Absolutely. And it's more from that realm of thinking, right? Where we're trying to think and think. This is so much about seeing and feeling, and maybe allowing your mind to become a bit of a mirror rather than that thinking brain, just crunching data, you know. So these techniques just help to get out of that, which is, by the way, very masculine. And we live in a strictly masculine word still. So as women, we have to kind of become it to be successful, and it drains us and it disconnects us. So this is not about saying, well, masculine is bad, not at all. It's more about finding where it doesn't work for you. And if you need to go to work 8 to 5 every day, how do I come home and am able to separate and just be in my yin, in my feminine, and just flow with it, and then maybe use it to transform the rest of my life, right? So yeah.
So well said. And I love how, you know, your meditation practice, or your business that you call it, is called Radiant Yin. And so I love those, the yin and the yang, because those words can be, I mean, they're defined masculine and feminine. So sometimes, because people can have issues hearing like, oh, that's masculine. Like you just said, it's not bad, but you can use the word yang if you want to understand more of like the energy patterns. It's not like some man walking around like trying to shake you. It's just like a hot, loud, aggressive is the, fiery is yang, and yin, that passive, receptive, flowing, dark. And yeah, so I
Yeah.
love.
Yeah. And there's so many, you're right. There's so many ideas around it. So really what this work is about, that I hold space for people to do is discover it. And people come up, after meditations, they're like, oh my God, I've never even looked at it this way. Right. So it's not me telling you what you should see, experience. No, it's within you. What I'm helping women to do is just finding it for themselves, whatever is their truth. And then by sharing it with each other, if people choose to, we learn from each other, which that's kind of the aspect I like very much. So it's based on respect, on mutual respect.
Beautiful, 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 beautiful. Will you share a little bit of how you got into this work? And because I know, but you have an amazing history with this work, and how you're, one of the main teachers now of this work. And yeah, if you could share a little bit, I think that would be really cool to hear.
Yeah. Well, I've been interested in spirituality since I was very young, just because I was so sensitive and I kind of felt like I don't belong to this world. Like I was pretty much heartbroken since a very young age, and so it was kind of like I need to somehow get a meaning and feel better. And, that was my pursuit of spirituality. It wasn't become a teacher or healer. It was just feel better, you know. And so I did different stuff, all sorts of practices and trainings and philosophies like Buddhism, which I still very much respect Buddhism, so much wisdom in it. And then when I was 30, I met somebody and we moved to Hawaii. And we started doing the intuitive training, or it's called clairvoyant training. What really means is seeing energy clearly. It's not about seeing in the future. It's about learning to see beyond the veil, really, which we all have that ability. And it's just the training you do to get better at it. And I studied for years. And, for me, it was just interesting that later I started realizing this is all very unisex, right? And that's the meaning of it. And how the program was originally created was, well, you are here to learn to see. If you have anything else like feelings, or you go somewhere else. And that's a valid way of doing it, right? It's just how it was created. But I remember just when I kind of was more getting into the teaching, I was talking to one of my colleagues and I'm like, I miss that. What about emotions? Like there is so much wisdom and feeling. And he told me, well, maybe that's what you need to start doing. And I was just like, oh, I never even thought about it. So I started doing it more with myself, and I started doing it with my students and in my workshops. And there are still very unisex classes. But now with everything that's happening in the world, and the divine feminine really awakening again, I just see it so important for us as women to do our part, to do our work and liberate ourselves, so we can go out and teach that by being who we are. And honestly, I see this as the time when it's the time of female awakening, where women, we will teach men, where there's this old idea that there's going to be some male messiah coming in. And no, we have to, each of us, do our work, and I do really see that a lot of healing is going to come through healed women. So that's kind of, and I got back to my classes. Wow, look at me. I didn't even realize it. So anyway, so that was kind of, step by step, that's kind of finally like getting my dream done. But I do have my school as well that I teach in Czech Republic, and that's where I'm from. And really that's about healing the roots and the country as well. I came from, helping people to, get tools and heal themselves. And yeah, then I teach for another big school here that's getting bigger. But this project I'm talking about, these classes, Radiant Yin, are my huge passion. That's really my passion project. That's where I'm putting so much energy. So I'm just so grateful that you gave me, this opportunity, and you do this amazing work for all women, because sometimes when talk about women and female energy, I have this reaction from even women. Well, what about men? And I'm like, that's all good, but they need to heal themselves too. There's a lot of healing, but you help yourself, right? It's like being in an airplane. And that's what they teach us in the training that we did, Dana, right? Like, well, if you're in an airplane and the airplane is going down and those oxygen masks come down, you give it to yourself first. And then everybody else, the child, your partner, because if you die, you're not going to help anyone, right? And it's an extreme example, but that's very much a good example about spiritual work or mental health. First, take care of yourself, and then you're going to radiate that light. That's why I like the word radiant. Yeah. So I don't know if I answered your question.
No, that was beautiful. Yeah, that was beautiful. I think you could also, I love the word enabling, because that really lands, I think, for people. Like so many individuals, I've seen myself too. You see someone, and sometimes if we go and try to help them, we're actually enabling them to where they can't learn how to like grow for themselves. So yeah.
That's what I call a merciless compassion. And then later I learned that actually in the core of the word compassion, it actually means to be with. So it doesn't mean to change it. It doesn't mean to take it on or make it smaller for somebody or carry their weight. So the where I now understand the word compassion is I can really see the person and their experience and maybe offer them tools to help themselves, right? It's like teaching somebody to swim rather than always jumping there and trying to save them, because then you enable that. But I can still be compassionate and loving while guiding them, So it's what you're saying. There's a difference between maybe true compassion and enabling, or being nice and kind. And as women, we're always trying to be nice, always smile, always, and it's actually, no, we are lionesses. We have so much. We're warriors, and we're nurturers, and we all of it. We're so complex, right? So that's like another thing that I'm busting, just we're all of this, like own it all. We're creatures of magic, and we can create life. Like, what's the bigger force on earth than this? There's a reason why feminine was, what's the word? If you help me, back in the days, it was really valued, they were, yeah. And we can
long time ago, it was originally valued, and then some people went around to control it and kill it and submerge it.
Yeah, and that's what we're trying to heal and forgive as well, right?
Yeah, be in the present moment. Yeah,
definitely.
or get angry at. And
yeah, you have to get angry. It's just part of it. And that's another thing, like I work with female clients and they're like, it's so refreshing. I can work with you and you don't judge my anger. And I'm like, of course we have anger, and a lot of this anger is collective. But again, it's not about not feeling it, but it's about learning to work with it healthily. So you can transform it and you can, expand and rise from it. So, everything. So even in these classes, we just face anything. Everything is allowed. Everything is okay. As long as you're kind to others and you don't project your stuff on other people, right? Everybody can come, everybody can grow. Yeah.
Beautiful. I love that. I wanted to ask a little bit about this work and how it's helped you in your life, and if it's helped your, menstrual cycle at all, or your female body, what your experience is with that for people listening.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I didn't have a healthy relationship to my body because my mother didn't have it, because she didn't learn it from her mother. I had to do a lot of forgiveness with that, so I had a food disorder since I was 16 for about 10 years. So that affected my menstruational cycle. I had so much insecurity about my body and its shape and weight and being lovable and, all these kind of things. And it totally shifted it. It's, I do love myself. One thing in my menstruation cycle, it's so regular, and it actually helped me to connect to my body. Like I know it. Like I can really feel it. I know when it's coming. I got rid of chemicals, and it's actually, I enjoy my menstruational cycle. Very rarely it's painful. And one thing I noticed about women who have very painful menstruational cycle, there's a lot of energy that's not even theirs, and that creates pain. So in this work, as you're letting go of what's not yours and you're reclaiming your body back for you, it just starts actually being a very pleasant thing. Menstruation is a very pleasant thing for me. I feel like I'm cleansing, I'm releasing, I'm connecting to earth, like I'm letting go every time I'm menstruating. And I worked with women who couldn't get pregnant, and this work helped them, to own that energy back and get pregnant. I worked with women who realized, I actually don't want to have a baby right now. I want to use this energy and create business or create something else. So it just totally changed my life. And that's why I want to teach it. I want to share what I've learned. And I keep learning every day, and every time I teach a class, I learn. Every day I learn something new. And I'm just passionate about sharing it because it helped me so much.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I love that. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I've seen some of these things that you're speaking to, but I always love hearing the stories again and again of people when they share their what would you call it? Um, Triumphs. I don't know, when you go and you have, like, let's say, like, I have a intent, or this is what I'm want to experience, and then it, manifests for them, or it comes into a wave in their awareness, and then something else happens, but they love it, like whatever you would call that.
Mhm.
It's pretty amazing witnessing women when they reconnect with themselves and they are back in their own flow and their bodies, and yeah.
And you see, I still have challenges like everybody else, right? Like, but being connected to myself, it transformed everything because I'm, I always tell it to my female clients, our space, our body, and our space, our energy space, it's your castle, and who is the queen in it? Is it you, or are you allowing somebody else to rule in the castle? Like, put that crown back on. And that requires work. It requires showing up. So, one thing to understand is mentally understand something. That's a small part. And you have to show up and do the work, right? So so whoever's interested, come and do the work. We would love to have you.
Oh, I love that. That's, yeah, no, that's good. And I've been to your classes and they're fantastic. And they didn't feel like work to me. They just felt like enjoyment, showing up and being community. Like when I go to
Exactly.
work, it's like,
Yeah.
sometimes work can flow. Sometimes it's like, oh my God, this is exhausting.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
It's more of
absolutely.
like I like to call it like a little bit of an energy spa. Like it's like a
Yeah.
reset space for enjoyment and laughter and awareness.
I love that you said it because that's exactly my intention. That's how I'm trying to create that, because then you can really go into even like painful places and feel safe to do it. So I had women who've done meditation work for years and they came to my class and they cried suddenly, like, I'm so sorry, I'm crying. I'm like, no, that's good. You feel safe to let go, or we can laugh together and, do funny drawings, and it's all part of it. So thank you. Thank you for that feedback. That means a lot.
Yay, amazing. Um, another thing, what's sparking joy for you in particular with this work? Like what is just, you'd love to share that you're just kind of extra sparkly about?
I mean, it it just started before. This is actually a very complex question. What drives me is seeing the transformation in people, and in this case in women, when they get in touch and they're just like, oh, I'm loving my body, or wow, I'm building the business, or I started a hobby that I wanted, or and I just see the transformation, and then people coming back in, and I see more and more light, more and more of who they are, not what they were taught to be. And that just brings me joy. And that's like, oh, that's when I really feel like, oh my God, okay. Personally, what had happened to me is, I've been doing healing work with my mother for a long time, because no parent is perfect. But it was really starting to teach the female classes that really kicked me into doing like some really deep forgiving work. And so I reconnected with my mother again, and we're building a healthy adult relationship, which really, that's huge. And even a year ago, I wouldn't have seen that happen. And then in my personal life, I'm fulfilling my personal dream of 20 years, which is learning to DJ. So while this podcast is out, I'm gonna have my first live performance. And that's huge, when you fulfill the dream that you never thought was possible, and sharing some parts of yourself in a different way. And definitely this female work helped me to get there. So you see, I teach and I learn. That's how it works. So I'm growing with this work. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. And I know you've spoken to me a little bit about the DJ stuff recently. And one
Yeah.
piece I really love listening to you talk about it and when doing it is that you're really incorporating kind of, I would say, meditative healing aspects to your DJ work, which I think is really cool. So you're not just enjoying dancing and listening to music, like you're actually also kind of, moving energy and,
Yeah.
strengthening space, if you want to say.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I'm mindful, because you see, a lot of these people are very open and impressionable, so they can get really programmed. So I'm very mindful about the music I'm playing, and about, making it grounded, and in maybe putting some really good spiritual messages in it. And then people can have fun and dance, but it can be very healing as well. And I met DJs back in Europe when I still lived there doing it, but it was more kind of the calmer music, more tribal. And I'm really like translating into like a dance music. So it's been fun, and it's bringing me that sparkling joy. I was meditating on that question, because you told me, you will ask me, and I was sitting in meditation. I'm like, what? And I'm like, this is really bringing me sparkling joy right now. So, and it's just an example, right? And I sometimes tell people who feel stuck, and women who heal themselves, find a new hobby, or start doing something you always wanted to do. Just try it, just like a little step by step. And that's going to start translating to the rest of your life, because you're creating something for yourself. As women, we were told it's not okay to give up to ourselves. We always have to nurture everybody else. The thing that I see, and if your cup is overflowing, it's going to touch everybody around you. That light of your fulfillment will just touch everybody, that sparkling joy. If your cup is empty, there's really nothing you can give, and you're miserable on top of it. So it's kind of almost changing that idea, right? It's like, oh, it's not selfish to be happy. It's not selfish to feel that sparkling joy, because the more I allow it to myself, it's going to touch everybody around me. And I believe truly that's how we really race out of the competition idea. There's not enough. We have to elbow each other for a little. No. Fulfill yourself, be happy. And then you want to support others, because there's enough for everybody. Yeah.
It's so beautiful. What was I just going to ask you? Something landed. Um, I'll let it come back to me. So I know we didn't really talk about this, but it kind of became aware to me, just in case anyone listening to this resonates. If somebody was like, oh my God, I really, really am enjoying you, Lada, hearing you, and I hear that you're a healer, could somebody come and have a session with you if they wanted to get a reading or a healing? Is that something?
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. And yeah. So I mean, my website, and then probably you're gonna share it as well. It's Ballowe.com, which is my name and my surname. And you can book one-to-one sessions there. And I love working with people one-to-one, because it's really targeted. It's just targeted, especially to you, to your challenges. And we work with that. And I do as well energy healings. And then once a month, I teach the Radiant Yin class, the workshop. It's a 2-hour workshop, and right now it usually lands on Wednesday evenings. But I have people in Europe, and it's still minority, but they're like, well, so we sometimes do Saturday or Sunday mornings. But the next one in February, that's going to land on Wednesday evening, on Wednesday 23rd. So I would like to invite as well, if anybody kind of feels like you would love to come and enjoy it, your first workshop, you can come for free. So you can just connect and email me at radiantyin.com. Sorry, radiantyin@gmail.com. I'm still building the website. I'm the person who goes and does the other steps. But we have a pretty decent community of women now, and I have a mailing list, so I can actually add you to the mailing list as well. I don't spam. I really just send the invites and then the downloads. So even if you can't make it in person, you can still do it by download, but it's great to come and participate. So if you're interested, just email me, and I can grant you access so you can come for free to your first workshop in February or anytime later.
Beautiful, beautiful. And we'll put the links for all that in here on the little recording that we're doing for everyone in the email. Oh, I remember what it was. I had a question of, so we've been saying the word spirituality, and for anyone listening that maybe come from a religious background or upbringing, will you speak a little bit about spirituality and just that kind of, because I know it, but I think it's useful to speak to the neutrality that kind of lives within, because spirituality lately has also been under a lot of, how shall we say, microscope and examining and stuff.
Definitely. Yeah. You see, maybe how the easiest way, how would I communicate it, is we have these physical bodies, but that's not who we are, right? We're this spirit that is way beyond this physical body and even this physical experience of this lifetime. So the way I call it spirituality is just really being present with that part of yourself that is maybe bigger than just this one experience, but really being present with it, because that's when true compassion comes in, where it's true love comes in. And being spiritual, I know exactly what you're talking about, but I almost find it hard not to be. If you're a spirit and that's your essence, how can you not be spiritual, right? So and something that I like to say, I'm really into integrated spirituality, where this is who you are, this is what you live, this is, you take accountability for your life, for your creations, you heal them, you transform, and you bring it with you every day, and it kind of creates kindness and compassion. And that's really what I'm into, because there's a lot of that passive aggressive spirituality. We sometimes, I live in Santa Fe and we joke about it, and I call it sometimes spiritual bypassing as well, right? You just throw something that sounds really nice on a situation and move on and don't heal it, and then keep hurting other people, and this is a true transformation kind of within. Yeah. So this is how I would, you work with the part of yourself that is a spirit. That's how I would call spirituality. And I would bring it in the body and really just live it, like be it, be that incredible being of light who is having this experience. Yeah.
Well said. Well said. Yeah, I love that. Thank you. I think just having those words, so somebody who maybe comes from a religious background, or they don't believe in spirituality and all that, safe space to understand that it's pretty neutral and just awareness and being present and stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but I love how you said that.
Yeah, sorry. And I do have some women in classes who have strong spiritual background, and they're totally fine, because they were saying exactly what you said. Oh, you're really neutral about it. Like, you're not making me stop believing the things I believe. I'm like, no, like this is not what this is about. I'm not here to change anybody's belief system. If you want to change it, but it's That's everybody's journey. So it's not about that. No. And I truly believe there's no one shoe fits all. It isn't. You have to find what fits and then go with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. Um, let me think if there's anything else. Besides your email, if I wanted to follow you, do you post on social media at all? Is there something that people can, check you out on there as well?
Yeah, so far I post everything on my private accounts, which my Instagram is evolution.ballowe. So you can follow me there, and I post some private stuff there too, but they're fun. I live a fun life. So but and as the classes will grow, I'm gonna actually create something, but I'm trying to do it very organically, more of that yin, more of that flow rather than the structure and building around it. And I as well have a YouTube channel, and it's called Evolution Through Meditation. And I post different kinds of meditation videos, and lately a lot of female meditations as well, so you can do them for free, and often you can use them as a preparation for a workshop or just stand alone. So you can as well follow my YouTube channel, Evolution Through Meditation.
Amazing. Well, thank you. Thank you. It's been so great having you here today and speaking to these things and more wonderful tools for women and menstruating bodies to have access to really enjoy their life and to flow within their own balance. And yeah, all the magic that comes in there. There's so many words I could speak to for all of that, but I always love to connect with you, and I'm really happy to share you with the My Moontime community.
Thank
And
you.
I'm sure we'll probably be doing more things in the future as this evolves and expands. Maybe next time you can guide us on a little opening meditation or whatnot. So
Yeah, totally. I was even thinking about it today, but it wasn't time yet, but I definitely would be up for it so people can experience it. Because sometimes people are scared of meditation, and then when you try it and you find the right fit, you're like, oh, I just meditated for half an hour. I didn't even realize, so that's the kind of meditation I teach, because, it needs to be fun.
yeah, meditation landed in the United States from a very yang and dogmatic and rigid perspective. And I think the concept got stuck on that word. And meditation is many things. And people will still, of course, argue over what meditation is, but
yeah. No, absolutely. And again, have a look at me, right? Like, I like fun, I like vibrancy, I like amusement, and one thing that's kind of the base of the work I'm doing, and that, you learned as well, is seriousness is energy that doesn't move. So everything sticks. So bringing it above it helps bring it up above everything else. And then you can laugh while you're healing. You can laugh and meditate at the same time. You can open your mind, and it's fun. Meditation can be really fun. So that's kind of my motto. Meditation can be fun. Come and try it.
really fun. And even if it's not, we're still going to laugh at it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's the thing. You can still, sometimes you cry, but it's just you're releasing something, so you can have more of yourself. Yeah. So I'm definitely not a clown, but there's certainly levels of amusement that I'm introducing to this work. Yeah.
Love that. I love that. It just kind of brought to mind, someone was asking me recently about if I knew any female gathering groups to help with menopause. I'm like, actually, this space would be really helpful for women, and no matter what phase of their cycles they're in, just to go and to have that community, but being very neutral, because that's the hard thing with groups, especially women groups. If you don't have someone holding space that can really be in neutrality and full permission, the group can go real weird real fast.
It's a huge energy. Yeah. And, I was supposed to teach these classes under the academy I'm teaching at. And then I spoke with my colleague and teacher, who I respect highly. and he was there from the beginning of this work in the 60s, and he's like, this is big energy. Female classes can take over. Maybe you teach it kind of as its own thing, because this might be a lot for our school now. And I really appreciate it. But like, he's a neutral man. He's like, whoa, girlfriend, you got it. Create its own space for it. Female energy is huge, and it was suppressed, and a lot of women don't even know how powerful they are. Yeah. And you're right, it can get, if somebody's not aware of it, it can get very wonky, and there can come different energies can kind of start coming in. But that's the idea of, I'm holding, I've done this work for a long time, so I'm holding the space very consciously. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you have. Yeah, you're great at holding those spaces. And I have noticed, like, once I finish, we leave one of your workshops, going out in the day, I just felt really sparkly. I felt really grounded. I felt full of permission. And I know I said this before last time with Liza with breathwork, how it's similar in that way too. It's very, very my experience, this might not be everyone's experience when they finish a workshop with you, but it was just a lot of grace. I experienced a lot of grace and permission for just natural flow of cool things to transpire, and life just felt really enjoyable for me. Yeah.
Yay. Yay.
Yeah.
I truly do believe that life doesn't need to be a struggle. And a lot of the struggle we are programmed into to believe we need to struggle. And a lot of that struggle comes through the yin, through the push it. Oh, if it doesn't work, push through it. Where, the yin may be like, I'm going to just step aside and kind of observe for a moment. Maybe I can float around it. Or maybe, it's just not the right timing. What if I just let it go? Right. So again, if you're too strong only in the yin, you would probably just sit at home and do nothing, right? So there needs to be that balance. But in a female body, what that balance is for you, right? So it kind of sounds like when you stepped out of the workshop, you were just like, oh, I'm kind of in my balance now. It feels good. So that's the idea, because our energy feels good in our bodies. It really is truth. So when we're in our own flow, it's going to feel good, even if there are challenges. It's our challenge, right? So it can be empowering, as opposed to, oh my God, what's next? We've all been there. I've been there many times, like, oh, are you kidding me right now? The next thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
Well, thank you so, so, so much for being here today.
Thank you for
And yeah, I know you have clients and teachings and all sorts of good stuff to get to, but thank you again for sharing. And I'm excited for all the women and females and menstruating bodies that are going to reach out to you and get to experience all your amazing offerings and classes. And have an amazing rest of your day.
You too, Dana. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Please consult your licensed medical professional for any and all medical advice. The information contained here has not been evaluated by the FDA. This information is not intended to treat, diagnose, cure, or prevent any disease and is provided for educational purposes only. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified healthcare providers with any questions you have regarding a medical condition, and before undertaking any diet, supplement, exercise, or other health program.